I'll look this way. My name's Frank Dobson, and I'm, among other things, director of the Bishop Joseph Johnson Black Cultural Center here at Vanderbilt, and I'm also faculty head of Gillette House here in the Commons. And I'd like to thank you for coming out to this event. It's a kind of a collaborative event, sponsored, of course, by the Nashville Predators, and we'd like to thank the Predators for all they've done in terms of bringing Mr. ORee to our campus, but also providing free tickets for hockey night tomorrow night, and bringing the Predators staff. Many of them are here, and we'd like to thank all of the Predators staff persons for coming out. We also have a member of the Predators here. Joel Ward is here, and so we'd like to acknowledge his presence as well. And I'd like to just read something a little bit about Mr. ORee, but before I do that, I'd also like to thank the staff of the Commons for all of their hard work in helping to sponsor this, the Office of the Dean of the Commons, as well as Vanderbilt Public Relations, and just everyone who's been involved in sponsoring this program. In celebration of the National Hockey League's Diversity Month theme, Hockey is for Everyone, the Nashville Predators will host several community events by Willie O'Ree, the league's first black player. ORee first broke through the NHL's color barrier in 1958 when he made his debut with the Boston Bruins, appearing in 2 games. He also had a 43 campaign with the Bruins in 1961 before being traded to the Montreal Canadiens and finishing out his career in the minors. Though his NHL playing career was not a long one, ORee paved the way for not only black players but players of all races. Today's NHL boasts players from many diverse backgrounds: African, Asian, Inuit, and Latin. ORee currently serves as Director of Youth Development for the NHL's Diversity Task Force. The NHL/USA Hockey Day Diversity Task Force is a nonprofit program that encourages minority youth to learn and play hockey. And from talking with Mr. ORee, I understand that he tours the country and indeed North America on behalf of this task force. Mr. Willie ORee.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it certainly is a pleasure for me to be here at Vanderbilt. I arrived a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, I have to leave Friday. I have to fly to Detroit to continue my work there. But I'm really happy about being here. And first of all, Joel, that was a hell of a goal you scored last night. Oh, I'll tell you. I was up there sitting up in the owner's box, and when I saw you cut in, I knew exactly what you were going to do. You were going to pull the puck, and the goalie just stood there, and you only had about that much room to put the puck in. Great goal. I jumped for joy. But anyway, as I was talking earlier, I'm from the eastern part of Canada, over by the state of Maine, born and raised over there. I was the youngest of 13 children, and my parents were very strict on my education. They said, Willie, you can play as many sports as you want, but you need to stay in school. You need to get an education, and if you deviate from your studies, we're just going to pull you out from all your sports. So anyway, that's the first thing that I had in my mind. Stay in school, work hard. When I was 14 years of age, I decided I wanted to become a professional hockey player. And I asked myself, what do I need to do? Well, I needed to stay in school. So I left my hometown when I was 17 to go up to Quebec, Canada, and try out for the junior team up there. And the only reason I went up was I was able to continue my schooling. So I went up and I made the team. Had a good year, ended up second in the scoring, and we ended up second in the playoffs. But the next year I was traded to the Montreal Canadiens, and I played for a farm team called the Kitchener-Waterloo Junior Canucks. That was my second year junior. During that time I had an unfortunate accident. Back then the players didn't wear any helmets, no face shields or face guards. The goaltenders didn't wear any face masks, so your face was exposed to the pucks and sticks and the skates. I'm on the ice. It's the second period. I'm in front of the net. There's a slap shot, deflection from the puck. The puck comes up and strikes me in the right eye, breaks my nose, breaks part of my cheek, and I remember dropping down to my knees, and I could feel the blood rushing down my face. The next thing I know, I'm being placed in an ambulance and taken to the hospital. I'm in my hospital bed, and it was what this doctor told me that actually changed my life. His name was Dr. Henderson. And as I'm laying in my hospital bed in the recovery room, he came into me and he said, Mr. ORee, he says, I'm sorry to inform you. He says, the impact of the puck completely shattered the retina in your right eye, and he says, you're going to be blind, and he says, you'll never play hockey again. well, I sunk back in my hospital bed, and the goals and dreams supposedly that I had were gone. So I got out of the hospital, and I started back skating again, and the only difference I felt about myself is I just couldn't see it on my right eye. I could skate as fast as ever, and I could shoot the puck, and I could do everything that I did before, but I had this blind spot. Now, I'm a left-hand shot, and I'm playing left wing, so to compensate, I had to turn my head all the way around to the right to pick the puck up with my left eye. And I was overskating the puck, and I was missing the net, and I was just off my game, and I asked myself, I said, Willie, what's wrong? And I said, well, first of all, I said, forget about what you can't see and concentrate on what you can see. So then my game started to pick up, and when I came back to play, everybody thought that I'd recovered. They said, oh, thank God Mr. ORee's back playing. He's recovered from his injury. But they didn't know that I was totally blind in my right eye. When I went to, I finished the season out, and I either had to turn pro the next year or play amateur, and I got a letter from Punch Emlak, who was the coach and general manager of the Quebec Aces, a professional team up in northern Canada, wanting me to come to their training camp. So I go to their training camp, I make the team, but I don't disclose the fact that I can't see it on my right eye. I said, Willie, if you can make the team with one eye, don't feel good about it. So I make the team. We win the championship that year. It's like winning the Stanley Cup in the National Hockey League. It was called the Duke of Edinburgh Trophy. Then I said, Willie, you can do anything you set your mind to do. If you feel strongly within your heart and within your mind, you can accomplish any goal that you set. I played that year, played the following 2 years. In the second year, the Bruins asked me to come to their training camp in Boston, and I went to their training camp. Didn't make the team, so I go back to Quebec and played. The next year, I was invited to their training camp again, and I went, and again, I was returned to the Quebec Aces. But during that year, the Bruins called the Quebec Aces and said, we want Mr. ORee to meet the Boston Bruins in Montreal to play 2 games. They had two injuries. I met the Bruins in Montreal on January the 18th. I stepped on the ice in the Montreal Forum and became the first black player to play in the NHL. Now, it really didn't register with me because just a week prior to that, I was Willie ORee with the Quebec Aces jersey on. So the fan says, oh, there's that young black player. He's up with the Bruins. We were fortunate to beat the Canadiens that night. We shut them out 3-0, and the Montreal Canadiens had just won their 5th Stanley Cup, and the Bruins were in last place. But after the game, we get on the train. The Bruins have their car, the Canadiens have their car, and we go to Boston, and they beat us there 5-3. And then I returned to the Quebec Aces. But then I was recalled back up in 1963 or 61, and I played 43 more games. And then I was traded to the Montreal Canadiens again, and Montreal Canadiens traded me to a team in Los Angeles. And I went out and played for the Los Angeles Blades, who were operating in the Western Hockey League, a professional team, for 6 years. And then in 1967 was the first expansion of the National Hockey League. They expanded 6 teams, from 6 teams to 12 teams. So the team that I was on disbanded, and there was a team in San Diego called the San Diego Gulls operating in the Western Hockey League. They acquired my contract, and I came down to San Diego in 1967. Played 8 years with the 2 teams down there, and then I retired in 1980 after a 21-year career. But the thing is that when I look back on it, the things that I remember the most is that I had set goals for myself, and I worked towards those goals, and I didn't deviate. I stayed focused on what I wanted to do, and I says there are obstacles and hazards that you have to overcome, but you know, if you feel strongly again within your heart and within your mind, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right. And so I was able to just stay focused on what I wanted to do, and played the hockey for 21 years. I'm a little prejudiced because I think that hockey's the greatest sport on earth. It really is. It's I stayed with it, and thanks to my brother, who was not only my brother and my friend, but he was my mentor. And it was through his help that I was able to play as long as I did, things he taught me as I was growing up. The National Hockey League contacted me on January the 18th, 1998. The All-Star game was in Vancouver, Canada. I was there, and Commissioner Bettman at that time appointed me the director of the diversity program for the National Hockey League. Since then, I've been traveling through North America with the 35 nonprofit programs that we have. And I do on and off ice clinics, personal appearance, autograph sessions, fundraisers to raise money for their programs. I try and reach out to the inner cities and try and let these boys and girls know that there is another sport that they can play if they want to. This is Hockey is for Everyone Month. It's also Black History Month. And the kids that come out, some have skated, some have never had the opportunity to get on the ice, and we'll teach them how to skate. And we stress on just the fundamentals of the game, the passing and the stick handling and keeping two hands on your stick and things like this. So all the numerous programs that I'm involved with and the clinics that I do, I've come in contact with over 50,000 boys and girls since I've started. But it's a great program. We will not turn any boy or girl away regardless if they don't have the funds. It costs about, as I mentioned earlier, it costs about $50 a year for these boys and girls to play. We will outfit them with all the protective gear. We will register them with USA Hockey. We have volunteers that will come and pick these boys and girls up from their home, bring them to the rink to practice or play, and then make sure that they get back to their home safely. And if they don't like it, they can walk away. But all the clinics that I've conducted, once I get these boys and girls on the ice, I've not had one boy or girl come up to me and say, Mr. ORee says, I don't like this, I'm never coming back. So I've got a good record going, and once you get them on the ice, that's 90% of the job. The group of boys and girls that we had on from Park Elementary School, I talked to probably 80% of them while I was skating around, and I said, well, how are you liking this? And they said, oh, this is great. And I said, if you have the opportunity to come back and skate again, would you? Oh, yes, but I don't know if we'll have the opportunity or not. But that's right there. You wouldn't have to coax them to come back because they want to come back on their own. But I'm really enjoying the work that I do. I don't think I would have stayed for 11 and a half years if I didn't enjoy it. The kids are awesome. And the youth development program of this country is the greatest. It really is. There's so many boys and girls out there that haven't had the opportunity to play, and we're giving them this chance, and they're really having a great time. They're really enjoying it. And if you can reach out and touch one boy or girl and make a difference in their life, there's no amount of money in the world that can take that place. I get letters and emails from boys and girls that I've gone and spoken at their school maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and they say, Mr. ORee, you may not remember me, but you came and spoke at my middle school, and you talked about feeling good about yourself and liking yourself. And they said, I'm using these in my daily life, and I feel a much better person. And I almost had tears in my eyes when I got these emails from young people that I've only met one time. So when you can have an impact on boys and girls like that, it's a great feeling. I had the pleasure of being in D.C. Just last week. Donald Brashear was there. Wayne Simmons from the Los Angeles Kings was there. And we were on the ice with about 60 boys and girls. And when Wayne and Brashear come on the ice, and we're standing at center ice, and these boys and girls, they come on the ice, and all you could see was just they were just looking. They weren't saying anything, but their mouths were open, and their eyes were just concentrated on these two individuals. And we put them through some drills, and they just had a great time. But when you make an impact on a young boy or girl, it's great. And I've been in the presence of probably 90% of not only the black players that are in the league, but the players of color. And it's always nice being in their presence. And a lot of them come up to me and say, Mr. ORee, I can't imagine what you had to go through, the doors you had to open and barriers you had to break to make it possible for players like myself to play in the league. And they just say, I have the highest admiration and the highest respect for you. So that's a nice feeling to hear from players that are playing in the National Hockey League at this time. So I'm going to continue to work as long as I can. Sometimes the traveling gets me a little bit, but once I reach my destination and either give a presentation or get on the ice and conduct a clinic, I forget about my bags being lost and no meal on the plane and things like that. So it's a rewarding sport. My dad said, Willie, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And there's a lot of truth to that. Find something that you really enjoy doing. Doesn't seem like a, like I guess yesterday or the day before, I think it was 15 hours by the time I got back to the hotel. But it was just a day, you know. And the kids really enjoyed it, and that's the main thing. That's the main goal, to make sure that when you leave, that the boys and girls have a good time, and they can go home and tell their friends or go home and tell their parents that the time that they had was a productive time. So, any questions? Well, thank you all for coming, and look forward to coming back. Yes. I'm gonna move out here because I think my voice carries. Well, the reaction when I stepped on the ice in the Montreal Forum, as I mentioned earlier, I was no stranger. I was no stranger there. The reaction, I got reaction when I played in Detroit and New York and Chicago. But when I played in Montreal and Toronto, where I played as a junior, and you know, they knew me. But when I went to these other cities, you know, they didn't know me. I'm a black man on the ice, and so there was. I got racial remarks from not only players on the opposition, but some of the fans. But I just said to myself, well, if they can't accept you for the individual that you are, and at that time I had the skills and the ability to play in the league. And if I was going to leave, then they'd send me down. But while I was there, I just stayed focused on what I wanted to do. And I just let the slurs go in one ear and out the other. I fought a lot when I first came up. I fought because I had to, not because I wanted to. You know, when Jackie Robinson was brought up in Ranch Rickey, said, you know, regardless of what they say, you have to turn the other cheek. Well, it was a little different with me. If I had to turn the other cheek, they'd have come out my other cheek. So I just had to, you know, I fought when I had to. But I never fought one time of racial slurs or remarks because I knew I'd be in the penalty box all the time. I fought because guys speared me and butt-ended me and cross-checked me, you know, because I wasn't wearing any protective gear. But it got a little easier, and then I gained the respect of not only the players on the opposition, but a lot of the fans. Yes?
When did you disclose that you were blind in your right eye?
I never did.
You never did it?
Well, no. I told my younger sister, who lives in Montreal, and I told this other hockey player that I played with. We turned pro together and played together for 8 years. And I swore them to secrecy. I said, don't say anything to anybody because if you do, it's gonna hinder my chances of playing pro. So they never said anything. So when I went to training camp, see, I never sat down in front of an eye machine. On the 21 years I played pro, I never sat in front of an eye machine. They were more concerned about your physical condition. And you know, I kept myself in pretty good shape, in the best shape as I could, and I went to worked at the gym and worked with weights. And so, you know, when I went to camp, I go to camp, make the club, but I never sat in front of an eye machine because if I had, I'd have never played pro, and even I'd have never played in the National Hockey League.
So in the 21 years you played, you never told any of the coaches or the managers?
No.
Wow.
See, and then the nice thing that happened to me that actually changed my life from when the doctor told me I'd never play hockey again. I was traded to the Los Angeles Blades in 1961. They were operating in the Western Professional League. And Alfie Pike was the coach. So when I arrived there, Alfie says, Willie, have you ever played right wing? I said, no. I said, I'm left-hand shot, and I've always played left wing. He says, gosh, he said, I've only got one right winger. And he says, I've got 6 left wingers. He said, I can sure use your speed on the right side. He says, why don't you give it a try? So now I move over to the right side. Now the boards are here. I can be skating on the ice. I don't have to be doing this because I can see the puck and the plane everything coming from my left side. So that's when I won the goal scoring twice in 65, 69, and was voted on 4 All-Star teams only due to the fact that I had moved over to the right side. So it was great. I wish I had moved over years ago. You know, when you play a wing, you know, for a number of years, you know, you feel comfortable there. The only difference about playing right wing is you take some of your pass on your backhand, but you have to, you know, it was a good move for me.
It was a hand back here.
Yes.
Gordie Howe was in the prime of his career right around the time you came in. Was he the best player that you ever
Yeah.
played against?
Yeah, Gordie was. He was with Detroit. What was that? You want a question?
No.
Huh? Don't be shy. What we here for now? Yes, young lady, yes.
About how many black players are there currently in the NHL?
There's about 17. Yeah, 15 to 17. Right now. Yes.
Yeah. I was wondering if you think Bruins can pull it off this year?
Good question. I hope so. I have my Bruins. I'm partial to the Bruins. It's the only team I played for in the NHL. And then I'm very partial to the Predators because they say, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. But this is my 4th visit here, and I always liked the Predators. The first time I came here, I love Nashville. The people are very receptive and very friendly. So I enjoy coming, and I hope this is going to be one of many visits this year that I'm going to have the opportunity to come back. Yes.
What was the hardest check you ever took?
Huh?
Just out of curiosity.
Body check or
Body check, yeah.
body check? Let me see. It was in Chicago. Who's the defenseman? He caught me on my blind side, and that's the only reason checking. I couldn't see him coming, but I forget it. But I saw stars. They say about having concussions. I think back then a lot of guys had concussions, but they didn't know. They didn't know that you get up and you see stars, and you see stars in front, and you go to the bench, and the trainer hold up 2 fingers and how many fingers is that? You look like too good. Get back out there. You're all right. Yes.
How old were you when you started playing hockey?
I was 5 when I started to play organized hockey. Yes.
Who do you think is the best player in the league right now?
Oh. No, right here. Oh, there's one. No, I couldn't single out. I couldn't single out one individual. There's so many of them, that are in the league right now. And the nice thing about it is that you're able to, see them display their skills and the ability out there.
So who's your favorite then?
Man, yeah. I like, well, there's 2 players that I really like. I like the Veskin. And who's the other thing? You think I like?
Sidney Crosby.
Yes. Yeah. I had a nice talk with Sidney when I went to Pittsburgh, and really nice kid. He said, Mr. ORee, anytime. He said, you come to Pittsburgh. He says, come down. He said, I'll always take time to talk with you. But he's a fine example, and all these guys are great role models for the kids. All the guys that are playing, the kids look up to these individuals, and regardless if they say anything or not, these kids will always remember the time that they spend with these players. It's great. I mean, I really enjoy being in the presence of the players that I have the opportunity to be with.
Mr. ORee?
Yes, sir.
If you could play against anybody in history, who would you want to play against? Or be on the ice?
Oh, you mean? I'd like to play with the Predators. Sure.
Well, I mean, like if talking baseball, if I could play with anybody, I might pick Babe Ruth or something.
Oh, I see what you mean. Probably Maurice Richard, the Rocket. The Rocket and Gordie Howe were 2 of the idols that I looked up to before I even knew that I was going to have the opportunity to play against them. And then when I got that chance, it was great. But he was a fantastic hockey player, a beautiful human being. He was a credit to the sport. Yes, sir.
Sorry to keep asking questions.
No problem.
So did you grow up a Habs fan?
Yes. Yeah, being in Fredericton, I was more of a Habs fan than a Leafs fan.
And was it a big honor to them to play your first game?
Yes, it was. Yeah, to play. I had played against them in exhibition games, but on January the 18th, 1958, it was a regular scheduled NHL game, and it was great. Yes, sir.
What would you say would be the biggest change when you first started professional to today's sport in hockey? How it's gone?
The change?
What do you think of the next players?
Well, the game has changed. The players are bigger, stronger, better conditioned. Equipment is much better. Arenas are much better. The rule changes have made the game more exciting for the fans. There's a lot. There's just so many things that have, you know, over the years that the NHL have made changes to, you know, to make the more exciting for the fans. That's why you know, the more exciting you can make for the fans, the more fans will come in and see the players play. Come on, you must ask some more questions. You're in university. Nobody's asked me how old I am, and I won't tell you. Yes?
So with all the changes that have happened in the game since whenever you played,
Yeah.
do you think that like a player like Gordy Howard can still dominate in today's game? Or?
At his, when he broke in?
Yeah.
At his age, yeah. Sure. I mean, as I said, the players are much bigger now, and the guys, you know, forwards that are, you know, like 200 and 210 pounds, they can skate just as fast as some of these other guys, you know. But it's the conditioning. It's the conditioning. That's the big thing. I was fearful when I used to go to camp. I was afraid of failing, you know. I said to myself, well, if you go to training camp and fail, and they send you back home, what are you going to tell your friends and your and family that I failed? I wasn't good enough to make the team. So that was the first thing I kept in my mind. I says, when I go to camp, if they keep 14 players, I'm going to be one of the 14. Whatever I have to do, I'm going to be one of the 14 players that they keep. See, these are goals that you set for yourself, and you just stay focused on what you want to do, and you just make things happen. Yes?
Do you think the NHL is overexpanded in order to teams and
No, I don't think so.
the regular season is too long?
You think it's too long? They're conditioned to play these games. I mean, you know, you play exhibition games and you play, and it's, you know, it's a state of mind thing. You know, they know that how many games they have to play. They keep themselves in the best physical condition to play these games, and you know, they're just fun. They just take a game at a time. Yes.
What resources are available for people our age if we wanted to help with these programs you can talk about? Because it seems like we have a lot of people here interested in hockey.
You know, where's
Is there someone who will be here afterwards?
well, there's 2 or 3 people here right now. Put your hands up. Who's there?
Yeah.
Right here, right here. These 2 young ladies can tell you about how you can get involved. That's a good question. Yes. And just don't say it. Just do it. Yeah. Make it happen. There's another young lady out there. She's come on in. Come right in. There's another young lady that can help you. Yes, sir.
So I know you talked about earlier numbers of blacks in hockey. You just mentioned the word involved. How do you get more blacks involved in the game of hockey?
Well, first of all, you know that hockey is a very unique sport. You know, in this room here, you can take a football and toss it around, a baseball, a softball, you can kick a soccer ball around, even a tennis ball, you can bat it back and forth, badminton. But to play ice hockey, you need to get on the ice. That's the first, you need to get on the ice. The more opportunity you have to get on the ice and develop your skills, the better hockey player you're going to be. And if you had told, he'll tell you that he's had the opportunity to get on the ice. He wasn't on the ice just once a week. And that's the thing that these players need to do. They need to get on the ice. And I think a lot of the players, a lot of the black young players, it's a lot easier to play, you know, football and soccer and some of the other sports. But once you get on the ice and you get them thinking that you can develop your skills and set goals for yourselves and work towards your goal. I mean, I was the only black player in the league, and then 14 years later, the next player come in. Mike Morrison lives in Toronto, came up with the Washington Capitals, and later played with the Los Angeles Kings. And then after that, there was the Bill O'Reillys, the Bill Johnsons, and then the Tony McKechnie's and the Grant Pures. But these players had the opportunity and the availability of getting on the ice, and I think that's what you need to do. But when I go into the inner cities, I encourage these boys and girls to come out and, you know, get on, and even if you've never skated before, come on the ice and learn how to skate, you know. And once you get them on the ice and they start skating, then you can, you know, you can put a stick in their hand and you can teach them about stick handling and puck maneuverability and, you know, things like that. But I'm very confident there's going to be more, not only black players, but players of color coming into the league in the upcoming years. You'll see. Yes?
Well, what about getting involved in, like, for instance, you know, I'm a big hockey fan, but I don't have the biggest desire to want to be a player, but yet still it'd be cool to be able to be involved with the hockey just as a sport, per se. Because the only appreciation I have is playing a video game, right? I mean, that's the closest I can get to
Get away from them video games.
the hockey.
Get out and, you know, you can do video games when you're older. There's a young lady right beside you. She's with the Predators. You know, there's volunteer work that you can do, you know, and you can make a difference in a young boy or girl's life. You can.
Absolutely.
You know, it doesn't take much. You know, it really doesn't take much. Yes?
I came in late, so you may have already answered this, but who introduced you to hockey?
Who introduced me? Well, actually, I was the youngest of 13 children, and only 2 in my family played hockey, my older brother and myself. I had a rink in my backyard in the wintertime. The availability of ice was there. There was a rink in my backyard. The elementary school where I went to was 2.5 blocks away from where I lived. I used to skate to school on the road. There were 4 outdoor rinks operated by the city of Fredericton, where you could go and play hockey all day until it got dark. There were ponds and lakes and creeks and rivers that you could play. So the ice was there. It was just more chance that you wanted to go and play. So I started skating at the age of 2, and then I started playing organized hockey at the age of 5, and I just played up through the ranks. There wasn't a day that went by in the wintertime that I wasn't on the ice. But as I said, my parents were very strict on the education part, and first thing I needed to do is when I come home from school, do my homework and get that done, then I could go out and play. But if my grades fell below average, then they pulled my skates away from me and they forbade me to go even near the rink. And it's devastating when you're used to doing something and all of a sudden you can't do it. So I got my grades back up and I never let them fall below average after that. And I was able to, as I said, I played 9 different sports when I was growing up.
I have one more question.
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes is, some people make headlines, but other people make history. And obviously, you're a historical figure and made history. And I asked you this in person, but I kind of liked I liked your answer and the humbleness that you said it in. But what is it like to be a person of historical?
Well, I really, when I think back of it, I really don't think of myself as a historical person. I just think of myself as a person that really enjoyed playing a sport. And I devoted all my time, when I was going to school, I devoted all of my time into playing and being the best hockey player that I could be. And as I said earlier, I was fearful of failing. I just couldn't fail. And so the goals that I set for myself, I told myself, if you go to a training camp, be the best player there. And if you're the best player there, then you're going to be one of the ones that they keep. But I never thought about it till later on. But now that I've had been recognized on several times, I was just contacted by Ottawa, the capital of Canada, that I'm going to receive the Order of Canada, and it's the highest civilian award given out by Canada. So I'll be flying back to Ottawa sometime in the spring to receive this award. But I never think of things like that. I just work with these boys and girls and try and do the best job I can, and try and help them set goals. The boys and girls set goals for themselves and work towards their goals and help them believe in themselves. A lot of these boys and girls tell me that oh, I could never do this, but how do you know you can never do it unless you try and work towards your goals and stay focused on what you want to do. As I mentioned, there's no disgrace in failing. The disgrace is not trying again. I failed many times, but due to the fact that I was just an individual that just couldn't give up.
So you're saying anybody here could actually become a historical figure?
Sure.
As long as we did the best that we could.
Exactly. You can be anything you want to be. Yes, sir.
ORee, I wouldn't challenge you on the ice even today.
Why not?
But I know better. But I'm going to challenge you right now because I want you to hear something. Your humbleness and humility is amazing. But being the first black vice mayor of Nashville, it was because of people like you that I had the courage to step out and do something nobody else had done. Your story, how you felt, what you went through, what it meant to you is more important even at your age today than you can imagine. And I really hope that you won't hold back. I mean, I know you never really thought about those things, but the reality is that you made a difference, and your story and your testimony is so important to the future of these young people, to give them the courage and inspiration to move forward. And the things that you went through that maybe were a little ugly or weren't uncomfortable, for us, it's important that we hear you. It's important that we know it. You're not giving anybody a black eye on that, but you're giving us inspiration. So I just want you to know that whether you want to go through that full story or not is not important, but I want you to know that I knew about Willie O'Ree before I met him, and it's because of Willie O'Ree's work that I've done what I've done. So I just want you to know.
Go to Google. You go to Google. Google knows more about me than I know about myself. I couldn't find anything out about me on Google.
We're going to stop here. There's a short video of about 5 minutes, but we'll show you Mr. O'Ree, not in his prime because he's still in his prime, but during his playing days. And then he'll stick around for autographs, questions, and the like. And I'd like to acknowledge Howard Gentry, who is also CEO now of the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. I'm sorry?
The foundation.
The foundation.
We don't want to take Ralph Schultz.
The foundation. So we're going to, and we also wanted to give you, on behalf of the Commons, a T-shirt from the Vanderbilt University Commons.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And this is the first year of the Commons.
Oh, this is very nice.
Even though it says Hank Ingram House.
Hank Ingram House. I'll wear it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
O'Ree opened the door for others to follow in his footsteps.
When I got to the NHLs, there were a lot of questions about being a black player, and then I started to learn more about Mr. O'Ree. And you know, I look at Jackie Robinson, and he's our Jackie Robinson of hockey, and you know, I'm very, very thankful for their courage and their determination, their resiliency, and I realized that they had a lot harder path than I had.
Gary Roberts down the wing, in front of the shot, they score! Great play by George LeBron going to the net.
It was a very, very hard for him, and with so much discrimination, and he had to go through it, he had to accept this.
He had to be that much better than everybody else just to get an opportunity. And for him, it wasn't really fair, but he's the one that made a way for us.
He's someone I definitely look up to and admire for putting up with everything he had to and keep fighting to get where he did, so guys like myself can play today.
A half-century later, O'Ree is still making an impact as Director of Youth Development for the NHL's Diversity Program.
All right, now, keep it on him! It'll work out there, that's the way. Well, again, we can win this game, we can win this game, now we got to put a little more effort into it. We can do it!
The door has been opened, and you can do anything that you want to do. If you put your heart to it, your mind to it, you can do anything you want to do.
Willie, congratulations on the 50th anniversary of your breaking the color barrier in hockey. You have been an inspiration to all of us. You played 21 years blind in one eye and nobody knew about it. The type of passion, dedication, and perseverance you have shown has been nothing short of remarkable. But equally remarkable and important is the lives of the 40,000 children you have touched in the last 10 years as the Director of Youth Development for the NHL. You have taught them the passion, the dedication, the commitment that has served you so well. It's a great honor for all of us to have you associated with the NHL. You are truly an inspiration. Congratulations, Willie. I'm proud to have you as a friend, and it's just great to see all you have accomplished.
Mr. ORee will be around to talk, to sign autographs. Again, thank you all for coming out, and thank you to the press, to the Chamber of Commerce, and also to the Dean's Office of the Commons. Thank you all.